Kia ora, good afternoon. So, all hell's breaking loose here in the United Kingdom, and I know that a lot of people aren't happy with the King's speech. I've put a link in the description box below. People are on the brink because the King has betrayed his people. He's taken the side of his government, but the thing is, remember, I prepared everyone for this last year when my message was that if the king had a choice to make, and if he chose the side of his people, he would be the saviour. If he chose the side of his government, he would be the last king. Well, he's chosen the side of his government, but remember what I told everybody. I let you all know that what would come afterwards was going to be civil war, not civil war, a civil uprising. There's going to be a civil uprising. It's already started with everyone, all these MPs in that parliament getting ready to tear Starmer down. This is already the breakthrough. So it doesn't matter what the King says about digital IDs and this, that and the other and siding with his government. This is the start of everything being torn down. Now, what I had said in my message last year, and I'll put a link in the description box below, if the King chooses the side of his government, the people will tear Great Britain apart, which means there will be civil unrest. So the people of Great Britain need to prepare for the fact that there are about to be riots breaking out all over Great Britain, where the King Charles will be our last king. We will end up becoming Republican nations. But for us, it won't be bad, because remember, I keep saying we get to tear everything down and rebuild it from scratch, going back to the way we want it to be through tradition and church services and church bells ringing and all that sort of thing, where you'll be free to be who you want. It's a little bit like I was bracing myself. I was bracing myself for the news, knowing that it probably wasn't going to be good news for the people of Great Britain, but also knowing that what God had said in regards to should the King take the side of his government, this is what's going to happen. And I will put a link in the video because, like this is important because it's letting the people of Great Britain know what's happening next. They can threaten you with the digital ID thing. They can threaten you with all they want, but it's not going to happen because the people of Great Britain are now going to rise and tear it all down. Because what's happened is the King has violated natural law and God's law. Absolutely 100%. There should be no anti-Semitism. Nobody should be persecuted for their religion, but the fact that he is specifically mentioning one religion over another defies God's law, which is the highest law in British law. Even the King has no power over God's law. The two laws that he has no power over is natural law and God's law. And natural law, they don't have the right legally to enforce digital ID because it infringes on natural law, which is you having the choice to live how you want to live, what you do with your body, how you make your money, what you do with your money, that sort of thing. And now the King has violated them. He's violated the two highest laws in Great Britain. So, in the Magna Carta, if you petition the King, if you go to the King and say, our government is hurting us, and he takes the side of the government, you have the right to overthrow him. You can legally force him now to step down as king because you no longer have confidence in him as a ruler. Because God's law and natural law are the two highest laws in the land. They sit above sovereign law or king's prerogative and parliamentarian law. And the Magna Carta says that if the king doesn't abide by those two laws, you can get rid of him as king. I think William can be offered the chance, but from what the code said last year, if the king doesn't do right by the people, then you can end the monarchy. Like, like it's in the Magna Carta, it's all legal. But what I can tell you is that other than withholding your taxes, what I know is coming as per the message last year is civil unrest. The streets are about to burn. The government will be forced to back down. They will be forced to back down, but then because there'll be no trust in Parliament or the King, it means that Great Britain will start again as a republic. So instead of being Great Britain, you'll be England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. You'll be your own independent countries. You'll rule yourself. You'll go back to how it was before there were royal families ruling it all. It's just, it's a shame because I fought so hard. I've sacrificed everything and I fought so hard to protect the monarchy. My physics, the Queen, oh Lord, but I was bracing myself because I knew, the demagnetisation process is hard when the person's mind has been so deeply embedded with the control. But with Starmer being torn down, with his parliament, with his government being torn down, everyone falls with him. So don't be afraid, because it's not going to go according to plan. That's just what God keeps saying. It's not going to go according to plan. It's going to go the way of the people, because the people will now have been tipped over the edge. Natural law dictates that no parliament or even king has the right to tell a person how to live, where to live, what to do with their income, how they earn their money, medical treatment, like that sort of thing, what you do with your body, what you do with your family. It's all the things to do with heart and home, income, that sort of thing. Your body, your health, your education, your family, that sort of thing. And then God's law, which is the one above that, says that no one can tell you what to believe or how to practice your faith. That because the king is God's representative on earth, he's supposed to have respect for all religions. All religions are ruled under God's law. You can't be in favour of one over the other. And that God's law specifically protects the British people and their right to be Christian, to be a Christian nation. So all I can say to you is, when things like this happen, it's so that you can see the truth. And I couldn't give up on him. I couldn't give up on him because I was being told not to give up on him. But now there's no more I can do. So now what's going to happen is civil war's going to break out, civil unrest. Because people are not going to go down without a fight because they're British. And the British don't just give up like that. They don't bow down. They don't give up. And unfortunately, it means that it's going to come at the sacrifice of the monarchy, because that's what God said. And I prepared you all for this last year. But what I can tell you is, once the people hit the streets and the cars are burning and the buildings are on fire, because it is going to happen, it doesn't last very long, because eventually everything gets torn down, and the right people step up to rebuild it the way it's supposed to be. And then, like England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, they all come together and say, let's go our own ways. The same thing's going to happen with the EU, and the same thing's pretty much going to happen in America, because remember, God said they all fall together. So it's all the same thing. They're all going to fall together, and it's pretty much just everyone going back to how it was before they started trying to bring in the whole NWO. So all the states in America will basically govern themselves, and have a conglomerate to watch over it all from each state without a president. The United Kingdom and the Commonwealth, they will go to being independent countries. It's going to be harder for countries like New Zealand and Australia, because we basically became what we were because of the British Empire, but it's kind of like our training wheels are going to be taken off, and we're going to be able to do it again. We won't be answering to any other nation but ourselves. You'll save a lot of money. You'll get to do things your own way. It means that for a lot of countries like New Zealand and Australia, the flag will change, because there'll no longer be the Union Jack colours and all of that sort of thing. But it means that you get to start again, and you get to do it your way. It's just unfortunate that King Charles is going to be our last king. But, he was given this or that choice. It's funny, because I keep thinking about what my teacher said when she said, any country you live in where trouble kicks off, she said, if it looks like any kind of civil war or trouble's going to kick off, you'll be removed before it happens. So am I about to be removed? Am I about to be plucked out of Great Britain before a civil war breaks out? I don't know. That's what she said. She said I'd never live anywhere where it was unsafe through civil war or a war or something, she said. So, and God specifically said that if the king takes the side of his government, there will be a civil uprising. What did he say? I'll put the link to the video in the description box. He said the war won't come from Iran, it'll come from inside Great Britain. That's what he said. Because it's going to tip people over the edge. Whatever's happened, it's going to tip people over the edge. Especially when word gets out about natural law and God's law. Because the thing is that any war that Great Britain has entered, like the one with Russia, for example, how they've tried to butt their nose in, any foreign war that Great Britain gets involved in, technically the king is borrowing the money from the people for that war, and he's got to pay it back. That no taxation without representation dream, that whole thing there that I posted, that was all about that. When the British go to war, it's the king borrowing the money from the people to do it, but he has to pay it back. Otherwise, they can withhold their taxes until the money's paid back. It's that whole sort of thing. He stepped into those realms of the point of no return, I think. Oh, hang on. Hang on. Sorry about that. It was a delivery I was expecting. What was I saying? Yeah. So it's just because I've just had a shower. So I'm sitting here. I'm just sitting in my t-shirt. I had to run and put my dressing gown on because my hair was still wrapped up in a. My hair was still wrapped up in the thingy. So yeah. So listen, don't worry. Because there are laws to protect you from this sort of thing that they don't want you to know about, that I've told you all about. I've prepared you for this. I've been preparing you guys for this for a long time, and now that it's here, you know exactly what to do. Just make sure you get the right people in power who have your best interests at heart. You need someone in power who is a leader of the people and not foreign interests. And it means that Starmer's achieving exactly what they set out to do, which is to get rid of the monarchy. So the bad guys will have won in that regard, but God said, remember, it's not going to go according to plan, and that it ends up with the people of Great Britain taking everything back, just like in the 80s and that. Except this time you'll have the backing of the police and the military because they've been screwed over as well. So don't be afraid. It's all going exactly how it needs to go for the greater good. But what I don't understand now is, what does this mean for the Holy Trinity bloodlines? And I keep going back to, if King Charles is no longer the King David bloodline of the Holy Trinity, of the Son Holy Trinity bloodline, then who's the Son in the Holy Trinity? And I keep going back to Iran. So is the Holy Trinity in the New World Christianity, Islam, and indigenous bloodlines, which would be everything from paganism to indigenous? Because indigenous is, the Irish are indigenous, the Scottish are indigenous, the Norwegians are indigenous, Siberia is indigenous. So the Holy Trinity now could very well be where it's all gods coming under the trine in the New World, and with the New World being born of tradition, where we go back to the traditional ways. And that's what I've just been thinking after I saw that news with King Charles, is that Islam have you seen Iran? The way that they are? Have you seen them? Like, it would make sense if Russia's Orthodox Christian, if Russia represents Christianity now, and Iran represents Islam, then the Holy Spirit, because remember it was the Son that took over Iran, then the Holy Spirit are the indigenous bloodlines, the navigator bloodlines, the old ways, going back to the old ways. In the New World, we go back to the old ways. Art, culture, music, we go back to the old ways. Like my business model, we go back to the old ways. Everything I'm doing is going back to the old ways. And everything Iran does is the old way. They still teach ballroom dancing in Russia and stuff, so it's like going back to the old way. The new world is built going back to the old way. That's the prophecy. the new world being built, going back to the old ways, but the old ways of like, movies and art and culture and food and entertainment, and where we're not gluttons anymore, where, we actually care about the planet, where climate change and all of that is no longer a thing, because like the truth reveals the lies to tear it all down so that we can go back to the old ways. The old ways of, it's like I said, if I was Prime Minister, I would be getting rid of the whole climate change net zero lie, because it is a lie, we all know it's a lie, and I'd be focusing on actually saving the planet by cleaning up the waterways and planting more trees, and, being stricter on fishing quotas. And I would go back to, when we used to be able to swim in the rivers and have picnics at the lake and go swimming at the beach and without getting sick from the chemicals being dumped in the water, and that's going back to the old ways, where you take Sunday drives with picnic baskets out to the river, where the kids would be exhausted on the way home because they'd been swimming all day. Where we're not stuffing our faces with cows that are dying unnecessarily because we only eat to survive. Where food is for survival, not gluttony. We go back to an age where consumerism isn't king, where gluttony isn't our focus point. We go back to food allergies disappearing because we don't put chemicals in everything. We go back to people going to libraries and enjoying books again, and having record players where the music is no longer digital, and we almost go backwards. We go back to the past to build a new future. That's the only way I can describe it. But these things are happening so that you can see the truth for what it is, and everything is torn down as a result, so that we can start again. There's nothing more I can do for the king, unfortunately. I defended him to the last. I said that today, that I'd defend him to the last. Well, this is the last. There's nothing more I can do, because the people are going to rise up now. And I can't protect him. The stuff that's being said about him online is painful to read, but at the same time, there's nothing more I can do. I gave it one last try. I was told not to give up. I was asked not to give up, and I fought to the bitter end. But what I can now tell the people of Great Britain and the Commonwealth to do is to prepare to say goodbye to the monarchy, to the British Empire, and prepare to become independent nations, because when it kicks off, it's going to kick off everywhere. And you're about to see a lot of very scared MPs and prime ministers and lawmakers in that trying to distance themselves and run away from what's coming. But it's going to be over very fast. It's going to ignite and then be extinguished very fast. And then it's like, what did I say the other day? Like everyone waking up and wiping their eyes from the light, because they were in the darkness for so long that when they see the light, it's going to blind them. But temporarily, this is the Matrix coming down. Just remember the movie Igor. Just remember the movie. The Matrix comes down. I said it'd be so funny if, because that movie is playing out in real life. I said, if I was Eve, who's Igor? probably, it would be, oh, sorry, they cut my phone off. If they don't cut my phone off at 9, which they didn't, it's usually 1, and this was them cutting it off at 1. So, yeah, so what was I saying? In the movie, it was Igor and Eve that create the civil war, creates everyone to tear it all down. So who would be Igor? The only person I can think of it would be Vladimir, because he was, how do I put it? They didn't want him being in power, so they made him the underling. You know, the world leaders like the EU and America and all that, they wouldn't allow him. In the movie, Igor wants to be a scientist, and they wouldn't let him because he was Igor, and he's just supposed to be Igor, and he's supposed to just put up with the fact that he's Igor, but he's an inventor and he's really smart, and he's the one that ends up saving the day and exposing the truth to everyone about who these people really were, which is exactly what he's doing, which is what that live that I made about the rapture was about. That people are going to see the truth of who and what he's really been fighting, and then everyone would join forces to fight with him, not against him. So he's basically living in existence at the moment, Vladimir Putin, I mean, where they're kind of like feeding him crumbs. You know, like, we're going to control how the world sees you. We're going to take from you. We're going to steal from you. We're going to like treat you like Cinderella, and you're going to put up with it because, well, you know, at least we're not killing you, because they, with the eagles that in the movie that don't do as they're told, they basically get killed, and their body parts used in, you know, all kinds of horrendous things. In that movie, they recycle body parts, and it's so true to real life. It's not funny. It becomes in the movie, all the scientists fight over who can control the weather and block out the sun, and control the food, and destroying the farms so that everyone's in poverty, everyone's living in famine. They murder old people for fun when they're bored, that sort of thing. That's literally the movie Igor. And then because Eve is a Frankenstein that Igor made, that was born without a evil bone in her body, they put an evil bone in her body, and she's still lovely. And she's still, even though she's a giant Frankenstein, she's like dainty and feminine and sweet and loving, and she wouldn't hurt a fly. So they take her to a brainwashing car wash where they force her to turn nasty and start attacking people for no reason. I'm not joking. This is Igor, the movie, the animated movie with John Cusack. And this is what they're doing in real life. Well, then Igor and Eve fall in love, I think. But he ends up defending her, and they end up fighting the bad guys together and tear the matrix, like tear it all down, so that people can see that that malaria wasn't in living in famine and pandemics and pestilence and no sun, that it was all because the scientists were blocking out the sun and, you know, using lasers to destroy the farmland and all of that, and it all gets torn down. So I was sitting there thinking, well, who would Igor be? And the only person I can think was that it would be Vladdy, because he's the one that gets treated like shit. He's the one that's basically told, this is what we're going to allow you to have, just like in the movie. This is the life you're going to be forced to have because we say so. And then he ends up being the one that saves malaria. Him and Eve end up saving malaria. So And I always said it was him and I against the world. That him and I were the only ones that were brave enough to stand up to the NWO, to speak the truth about the trafficking and the pedophiles and the Epsteins and the sacrifices and all of it. He was my comrade, my brother in arms. So, I don't know. All I know is that in the New World, Russia leads the way with the help of now, it must be Iran. Iran must be the puppy. Iran, well, I mean, that dream had double meaning, but Iran must be the new bloodline in the Holy Trinity. The Son bloodline. Because I think the King David bloodline in regards to the British monarchy has been removed. And it all gets torn down and we start again. It's going to be weird. It's going to be weird not seeing the crown on things, not seeing, the Union Jack on flags and that sort of thing. But in order for the new to be born, the old has to die, doesn't it? And when we've got monarchies that are against the people and not for the people, then, I mean, that's why they wrote the Magna Carta, eh? Such a shame. I was just saying that I wanted to do documentaries with the King. I wanted to show people who he really was. I wanted, like with Fairyland Productions, I wanted to do a documentary about the King and show people who he really was. A man of art and culture, and, that he's not the monster that social media and that make him out to be. But I was bracing myself because I thought it's not going to be good news when he makes his speech. But I prepared you last year, and don't be scared. It's all gonna seem a bit scary because, like when you've no longer got the monarchy that we've known for however many 100 years, and we're used to seeing the crown on things, and we're used to seeing the Union Jack, and, not having that anymore. I know for British people especially, it's going to feel like, and the English, that they've lost their national identity or their identity on the world stage. But it was going to give you all now the opportunity to stand on your own 2 feet, where you have complete and utter control over who, what, where and how, who you put in power, what you do with that power, where you direct that power, and how you deal with being in power. You'll have complete control. All the laws that are made, the constitutions you uphold, the people you put in government, the laws that they have to live by, will all become being put in the hands of the people. Just be careful who you put in charge. Just because the options are 1, 2, 3 and 4 doesn't mean 1, 2, 3 and 4 are going to make the future better for you. You need to look at who's promising to put the interests of the people first, not other countries, not outside business investment, but the taxpayer and the voter and the blue collar worker, the backbone, the farmers, the growers, the business owners, the hoteliers, the pubs. See, if I was Prime Minister, I would have put all my energy into turning Great Britain into the tourist mecca of the world. In my manifesto, I would have put all my support into businesses, local businesses, pubs, hotels, the farms, getting restaurants opened up again, cleaning up the planet, not taking from it, opening up the mines, opening up the textile factories, the paper mills, like doing it all ourselves, just putting Great Britain in a bubble and doing it all ourselves. Our own gas, our own oil, our own coal. I would have paved Great Britain's roads with gold, and then the excess would have gone to everyone else. I would have cleaned up the waterways, cleaned up the roads, no rubbish, no pesticides, given farmers in that incentives. Well, for a start, there would have been no inheritance tax, because I would class farmers and like people who work for the post office, anyone who worked in an office that represented the Crown or took care of the people, like the post office and farmers, I'd consider them veterans. They'd be classed as veterans, wouldn't just be first responders, law and military. Farmers and postal workers would be considered veterans. So they'd, get like veteran pensions, and I would be pouring all my money into agriculture and cleaning up the waterways and planting trees and opening the mines and using the oil and gas for us first in that, because it relieves my grandmother, Papatuanuku, it relieves her of pain. I was saying today, just like when you get a build-up of gas or you're constipated, when you mine her oil and gases and you take the coal in there, it relieves pressure from her. You have less earthquakes and volcanic eruptions in that when you use natural gas and oil and coal, because it helps her. It alleviates her pain. But what they're all trying to do with this fake climate change net zero thing is killing the planet. But they get to make millions and millions and millions and millions from their own pocket, and it gets to be put in their own pocket. Whereas I would have been a prime minister where the money went back into the people, because then I would have done things like, because I wouldn't have gotten involved in any wars, and all our military would have been used for watching out for migrant boats and, protecting us from foreign threats and all that. Our military would have been used for us. Instead of Big Brother watching, Big Brother would watch over. All that money not going into pretend wars and pretend pandemics and that sort of thing would be poured back into Great Britain. So there'd be no congestion charges, there'd be no digital ID, nothing. There'd be no, you wouldn't be green taxes and all that kind of bollocks. I'd come down hard on people who polluted the waters, and all that money would mean that anyone over the age of 65 would have free gas and electric. If you're on a pension, if you're a veteran, free gas and electric. You wouldn't pay another gas bill or electric bill. And if you served in the military or Air Force or whatever, then military or police force or anything like that, when you retired, you'd get like free rent. If you rented, you'd get so much put towards your rent, because we'd have so much surplus money we could afford to give it back to the people, and then clean the country up so that we could open the doors and beckon the tourists in. And what's really weird is that things like Buckingham Palace, places like Buckingham Palace, will end up becoming tourist attractions. So in the next year or two, you're going to have people going on walks around Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle. I was looking at the King's crown and that he was wearing today when he gave his speech, thinking that's going to be in a museum soon. All that's going to be in a museum. People will be able to walk around it, seeing photos of the last king who wore it, and it's going to be weird. But just remember the power is in your hands. And if Laddie is Igor, then I don't know. In the movie, it's Igor and Eve that reveal the truth and save everyone. They build the new world. So in the Holy Trinity bloodline now, I think it's going to be Christianity, Islam, and Indigeny. They're the ones that will take everyone into the new world by bringing back tradition. And bringing back tradition also is things like, you know, when girls earned pocket money babysitting and boys earned pocket money doing paper routes and milk runs and, you know, mowing lawns and things like that. We go back to that. We go back to living in a world where it's safe to leave your windows open, where you can leave your doors unlocked again. Because the threat is about to be removed. And God said, when one falls, they all fall. It's just I was really, really hoping the king didn't fall with them, but it is what it is. So just get ready, Great Britain, because we're about to step out of the darkness and into the light, and it's going to be blinding for a little bit. But once you rub your eyes and see what's opening up to you, you're going to understand why it happened. Just remember God's law and nature's law. Now that the king has violated those, you're legally within your right now to remove him from the throne, which is just heartbreaking. Because I had big plans for that man. And I still don't even blame him. Because I know they would have gotten to him. I know they would have gotten into his head. Because nobody of his, I mean, there's a Scorpio Taurus. Nobody of his intelligence would believe that any of the stuff that he's saying is right. He's speaking the words of a man who isn't thinking right. He's not speaking from a place of logic. He's speaking from a place of indoctrination, which means they got in his head. And I've been saying it. And I've been trying to wake him up to demagnetize him, but it hasn't worked. So, you know, it is what it is. So I think maybe I might be getting ready to get out of here. Is someone coming to get me? I don't know, but I don't know. All I know is that you have nothing to fear. And it's going to be over real fast. It's going to be like a shock to the system. I'm going to put a link in the description box I'll put the one in about talking about the end of days, because that's what you need to understand, people, is that we are in the end of days now, but that's not a bad thing. And I explain it all in the message, what God says, because I did it at a time when Starmer was trying to make out like Iran was eyeing Great Britain up to be bombed, and that Russia was circling the waters with nuclear submarines and stuff, and that's when God stepped in and was like, no, this is what's going to happen, and it's all happening exactly how God said. But in terms of what was going to happen to Great Britain, God said it was up to the king to decide which way it went, and that if he chose the side of the government, that the government would be, that it would all be taken down by the people, that the war wouldn't come from Iran, it would come from the people. So get ready. I'll also put a link in for the video I made about the rapture. Bearing in mind the rapture isn't when the righteous get taken up to heaven. The rapture is a global mass awakening. And when people realise what Vladimir Putin's been fighting on his own, they all join together to help him take it all down. It's all the righteous people, cops, judges, lawyers, military people. It's like a global mass awakening of like, holy crap, that's what we've been dealing with. That's who he's been fighting. This is who, because you have to understand is that they've helped them, they've been thieves and raped Vladimir Putin and Russia of their dignity. They've stolen from them and treated them like, treated Russia and Vladimir Putin especially like Cinderella. Like, you will clean up the mess that we cause and you'll be grateful for it, for the bread of crumbs and rags that we give you. But all I can tell you is that God is about to pull off something epic where the light is going to hit everyone at once, where what is seen can't be unseen anymore, and then the truth will be revealed. And then when that happens and people are like, holy crap, hang on a minute, what what's that truth? Because remember my prophecy puzzle piece when he jumps in the water, and I was overlooking it and I said it felt like it was in France. It reminds me of that dream I had about Paris, where Paris caught on fire and it set London on fire. Because remember, I said it felt like it was in France in that dream. But anyway, he jumped. Remember, Vladimir Putin jumped in the water and was helping me pull stuff up. I'll put a link in the video. Put a link to the video for the rapture. It explains it all. Because whatever's about to happen is so big, is so. I was about to say epic, but it was going to come out scandalous. That it tips people over the edge. Is the only thing I can say. There's a tipping point that's coming, because it's like God's going to open the curtains and everyone's going to be blinded by the light of truth, and they're going to have to rub their eyes, and once they steady themselves they're going to be like, wait a minute, what was that truth? I've said this before. I said it the other, what did she just say? What did he just say? What did I just see? And then it's like, oh hell no, and then boom 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 boom, then everyone's together. But it's like it ignites in one place and spreads like wildfire across the world. And then I think at the end of it, you're going to have Russia and Iran. It has to be Iran. Iran's the only other country I can think of where it would be the sun as the Holy Trinity. If the Windsor bloodline's been removed from it, Iran's the only other. And that's why I keep thinking about the puppy from my dream. Clinton and Starmer and Trump and that, is that your bag? Is that your bag? No, that's not my bag. No, that's not my bag. Like, they were trying to force me to accept something that wasn't mine, that wasn't okay, it wasn't right. So all of this digital ID stuff that the King's just come out about, it's not going to be accepted. And a truth is going to be revealed about something that's gone on behind closed doors. I just want to say God's about to do something. God's about to pull something off that's so bad, or that's so shocking, or so revelatory. Well, like my blood on his hands, where Starman knows he's done for and he puts his head down and his hands behind his back because he knows he's done for. And then remember, he falls into the fence, and then people taking the fight out onto the street. It's all starting to happen now. He's got people resigning. They're all fighting amongst each other. That blood on his hands is happening right now. So something's about to happen, because remember in that dream, Starmer was backed into the backyard. And backyards means things that are not being seen. Apparently, he's locked himself inside his office and all that. So it's all starting to play out exactly how I said. So something's about to happen. Something huge is about to happen where he knows he can't fight it, and he just automatically puts his hands behind his back with his head down and walks off in shame because he knows he's done for. He can't argue it. He can't hide the truth. The truth is the truth. And whatever it is, because he had his hands behind his back like he was about to be arrested, it's something illegal. Like illegal where he knows that he's not getting away with it. It's something regarding the law. So just watch, people of Great Britain and the Commonwealth, because I think we're about to see God pull off something. It's going exactly how it needed to go so that it can all be torn down to start again. And even though it's going to be a shock, it's necessary. Okay? Don't be afraid. Walk in faith. Just prepare for the fact that we're saying goodbye to the monarchy. It's funny, I went from being anti-monarchist to fighting for the monarchy to now getting ready to have to say goodbye. But I really feel like I'm literally about to say goodbye. I've been collecting boxes. I can feel the change coming. I can feel I'm about to leave. I can feel it. I just don't know where I'm going. In an ideal world, it would have been to Switzerland or Russia, but I don't know. I don't know. I think I need to start getting rid of stuff. But if you need me in the meantime, you know where I am. If you need support, it doesn't matter what they threaten you with. None of it's going to come to pass. Because if it hasn't happened already, something's about to happen. I say that, but I'm telling you now, something's about to happen. God's about to reveal something. God's about to do something. It's going to come out of like a bolt of the blue, like a bolt of lightning out of the blue. Where it's so scandalous and so shocking that they all know they can't ignore it or escape it because the people are coming. The people are coming, will come for them. The people are coming for them. That's what I just keep. The people are coming for them. The people, the voter, the citizen are coming for them. And so is the law. So, unless the king does something miraculous, I feel like I let Queen Elizabeth down. And that's what everyone keeps saying in the comments. The Queen didn't abdicate because she knew her son was a fool. The Queen didn't step down because she knew her son was a fool. It's hard watching that sort of stuff being said. Because it didn't have to be that way. He could have been the saviour. He could have been the hero. He could have been more respected than David Attenborough when it came to saving the planet. He was supposed to save the planet. He was supposed to be the bloodline that saved the planet. Anyway. Oh, so we're watching the death of the old way. This is the end of days. This is the end of the old. So just get ready. But like I said, it's over real fast. It's going to come like a bolt of lightning out of the blue. Then you rub your eyes for a bit, tear it all down, and within a few days you're already making plans on how to rebuild. because you'll have the right people in place. And none of these people will be from Reform or Labour or Tories or Green Party. They'll all be, it's all rising, everything's brand new. It's all people rising up from, what did I say? The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. So I'm going to go now, but just get ready, because with this death we get the birth, and it's a painful process, but it's necessary. In order to go through the purification ritual and rise from the ashes, you have to first feel the flames in order to burn it all down. And this is the start of everything being burnt down. It's going to be a little bit painful, a little bit of a shock to the central nervous system, but then you'll get to rise from the ashes. Okay? Okay. Every era, every empire comes to an end eventually. I mean, we used to have the Roman Empire and the Ming Dynasty and all that, and they all came to an end. So, the same obviously has to be said for the British Empire. All good things come to an end. And, at least for the people, it's not a bad thing. It's just going to take a little bit of adjusting. The training wheels are coming off Commonwealthers. Just remember God's law and natural law. So, I'll speak to you later. Ka kite anō. Oh, Lordy, Lordy.